It's not about spaceships.
Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show.
It's not about spaceships.
Hey everybody, I'm Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net, and today I'm with Rob and Jesse, and we're going to talk about Star Wars stuff, Star Wars stories,
That's right.
Star Wars everything. Okay, but what you have to understand is that I changed the interface, and it's being a jerk. Okay, so yeah, today there was an interesting story from our buddy. We have a couple of stories today that are interesting, at least to me. If you disagree, you could tell me in the comments and just deride me on Reddit all you want. Here we go. Here's the thing. All right, so look at us. We are tiny little men now. And there's a really big befuddled Kenobi on bestmanbulletin.com. So I'm going to open this up. Bestman writes, "Hey, before we dive into the report, I'm just briefly informing you that I've launched Ko-fi page. So if you feel like Bestman Bulletin has given you a lot of good content over the years and you want to support him because he has no ads on his site at this time. I'm sure he will eventually, but not right now he doesn't. Yeah, kick him, buy him a coffee. I think it's called coffee, but I have to call it Ko-fi. Anyways, almost 2 weeks I was informed almost two weeks I was informed by trusted sources that Obi-Wan Kenobi would be filming some important scenes at the East Los Angeles College swimming pool last week. That's what we talked about. That was where they finished, we believe, and that's the swimming. This is pictures of the swimming pool area I told you guys about.
Obi-Wan in the back, you know.
Obi-Wan.
That's his
Party
blue
in the
chair.
front. Party in the front. Obi-Wan in the back. So,
You're like, man, these productions have gone downhill since the pandy, huh? All
what
right.
is this? What does this blue chair symbolize? Is that Obi-Wan's lightsaber, you guys?
Hold on. This tree is spreading his legs in a number 4 for episode 4 because it ties into A New Hope, right? Yeah,
Right,
That's how
right.
they do it. That's how they
No,
do
and
it.
there's that other folding chair that they use in wrestling, so you know it's fake.
Oh,
The
shit.
fake, the folding chair means fake, right? Gotcha.
So wait, are you telling me that Kathleen Kennedy doesn't really slam the chairs on top of people when she does set visits and it's fake?
No, she puts them through tables.
Right.
It'd be great if she did jump off there and just like clothes hang fucking like Ryan Johnson.
Mick Foley
Love
style,
you.
dude, with the
I
barbed
miss you,
wire.
Brian. Boo.
I was talking to Bespin, and we were talking about how Bespin Bulletin about how the code name for the production has been Joshua Tree, right? And do you guys agree with me with this potentiality? I'm like, well, in Southern California, Joshua Tree symbolizes usually affluent white people who go out to Joshua Tree to take mushrooms and other hallucinogenics, trip out, and then come back, say that they're changed and that they want to get a tattoo.
Yeah, there's actually a place out there that you go to. You pay like, I think it's $1,200 a person. And you stay out there for like a week or 2 weeks, and they take you on the ayahuasca trips and mushroom trips.
Right.
Stern
So
flashbacks. Man.
do you guys
Stern
think
flashbacks.
that may be connected to the concept of Kenobi? Not saying he's taking mushrooms, but that he's going to go on a
That is far
spiritual force
We
journey.
need to do an Oral Knots watching series, bro.
It's
Like
going to be
Fridays.
really far, far away.
Since we have no immediate Star Wars shows, we should do that for the next 6 weeks. Just like because I think all your questions will be answered, Jason.
Right. The production, actually, I did see a part of it. I saw that where they used the clip where he gets up like he's been doing coke. That was genius. That part was really good. So anyways, Bespin is letting us know JT means Joshua Tree. It could also be Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Just saying. Don't discard it.
Or Timberlake, man.
You know how the crazies out there think JFK Jr. is still alive?
Oh yeah,
For me,
he's coming back, and he's bringing Trump back to the presidency. He's going to be the vice president.
For me, it's Jonathan Brandis is still alive, and he's going to be the ladybug. Like he's gonna he's gonna rule us. He's really just waiting to come back and give us all non-binary president. The ladybug.
I would definitely vote for a Rodney Dangerfield Jonathan Brandis ticket. I'm just saying, if you could resurrect them.
They're both coming back. Yeah, they're both coming back. Jack A can be whatever Speaker of the House. There you go.
Do you think when Deborah Chow showed up, she posted that up and said, "School's out"?
For summer.
That's yeah.
I mean,
It really is like, you know, when you go to that like not scary farm, and they do like they got some really good scary, but then they got the cheapo few that they had to like work into the boomerang section of the park, or the old parts of the park. And it's just a couple signs and some cardboard. Yeah, that's it.
Spooky.
So so Bespin Bulletin writes, emergency medical technicians were spotted on the set, and I was told multiple blue screens were being set up in and around the pool inside of the college, with dry ice supposedly being used. And I was going to add that actually to yesterday, but we didn't do the show. And that was that if the ice, I said ice, it was dry ice. Adds up. All adds up. It's all coming together, you guys. So he goes on to say, we know that a water planet will feature in the series. A concept art featuring a water planet with armed soldiers fighting at sea creature with many arms was shown exclusively to investors during Disney's Investor Day presentation. You don't lie to the investors ever.
Jason, I just wonder, could we get Mick West to like look at these spoiler drops, right? And then go, yeah, but like the data really isn't. Look at that photo. That's the best you got. A yellow sign. Like
he could be all like, he'd be like, if you ask me, it looks like either a bird or potentially an after-school special. So anyways,
I mean, they could be making ice cream with Heston Blumenthal for all we know, right? Like everyone uses dry ice these days in the culinary world.
I mean, you just can't trust what Disney investors saw. They're fucking crazy. I'll be like, you're right, Mick West. You're right.
Chapek apparently has a dry ice fix. Like he has to have it everywhere, just when he walks in the room. So,
well, he also has like a big cart with vintage Zima.
That would have been a great vintage Zima.
Coors Light Zima.
It's literally 20-year-old Zima that sits in a cooler.
Fantastico.
All right,
they re-released it.
So there's also one other thing. I was told that just before the production moved to the college to film scenes with the swimming pool, a scene was filmed with Darth Vader entering a forest using the volume. Sources were saying it was reminiscent of Dagobah. Now, I'm not saying it is or it isn't Dagobah, just that it was reminiscent of it. So please don't spread around that Dagobah is in the series. Everybody, you heard it here. Bestman Bulletin has recorded Dagobah in the series. Dagobah is live. Go to Twitter, post it now. Sourced Bestman Bulletin. Actually,
what if it's really Mercure though?
Right? Yeah, it's no, but obviously I'm joking, and he's not saying that, and you guys will just do whatever you're gonna do anyways. We do that kind of stuff in stories for our own peace of mind, but we know you're all fucking lunatics. It doesn't matter. So I wonder if the forest scene is related to the pool scenes that were filmed last week. It's a random factoid. But when filming The Empire Strikes Back, the crew filmed a scene featuring the dragon snake in George Lucas's personal pool. And by the way, the dragon snake in George Lucas is what he calls his wiener, just so everybody knows. I believe that Kenobi was mostly shot in order or close to as possible, but the shots.
It's also what Mad Mardigan calls his penis, but we worked that in. It's a little inside joke.
It's heavy lore.
Yeah, Ronnie didn't appreciate it.
Maybe tomorrow. I think if I have time, tomorrow we'll have a very cool Willow update. By the way, Willow's coming. Obi-Wan film
Dragon Snake. Willow's coming.
Willow's coming. Willow's Dragon Snake. So Obi-Wan finally wrapped late last week. Thank you for the citation there, Mr. Bespin B. Late last week. My sources have told me the same. So now we wait patiently until we see our glorious space Jesus on the screen next year. And then if you want to support Bespin Bulletin, you could get him a Ko-Fi. A Ko-Fi, everybody, which is I believe he is hinting at a new Jedi that's going to be in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Jedi Master
Ko-Fi?
Ko-Fi.
It's
Ko-Fi
Hawaiian
Mundi?
coffee, actually. Yeah,
Is that-
you get some shaved ice and some Ko-Fi. Yeah.
Is that Addy Mundi's brother,
Addy
cousin?
Mundi.
All right.
Addy Mundi.
Yeah. So we have that, right? We got Darth Vader on the edge of a force, which I like that scene. It reminded you of Splinter of the Mind's Eye when you heard it, huh?
Yeah, I mean look, it's a rando hit, but I listened to Rob Liefeld's Robservations podcast. Even if you don't like his art, he's an amazing storyteller, and the guy knows his comics history, so it's a really great.
Why would anybody not like his art?
Huh? Some people are just jerks, you know.
They're out there and they're like that.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck them,
anyway,
man.
and then but he did a whole episode last week on Splinters of the Mind's Eye, and you know he has a real clever way of working things in sometimes, like dropping little clues to things that he did it before, like before the Deadpool trailer leaked and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just like it's a big coincidence that he did that, and I was like, that's an interesting subject for Rob to bring up out of nowhere. And then the Vader Force thing, I was like, Splinters of the Mind's Eye. I wonder if he heard they're doing something similar or they're pulling from it, and then he was like, why don't they just adapt it into like an animated series or something, you know? Like,
Right.
So I'm not saying that they're doing that story, but they could be pulling from that location or that whole thing. I mean, what was that? Wasn't there like a general, like, wasn't that, it's been a long time since I read that book, but wasn't there like an Imperial that had like a lightsaber, like a Huxley dude in that book too?
Yeah, and also
so.
like Luke Skywalker pulls like a K2SO and slaps the shit out of Princess Leia, and it's hilarious.
Yeah,
it's so like wow, what are you guys doing?
He's like, I'm working it out with Marsha. Leave me alone. This is my low budget sequel, you know. Yeah.
And in a second, Star Wars Meg is here saying hi in the chat. Hey Meg, and we're gonna talk about Meg's report next because Darth Vader's everywhere. And Bespin says, damn, bro, Rob ripped me today. What'd you do, Rob?
What did I do?
Him for, bro?
What'd you do?
I thought I was complimentary to. Was I?
Dude, you've really offended him, and
You might have stepped over the line.
Here's my problem. I don't remember anything I say. like if I had to go to court and they're like, where were you on this date? I could tell you. If you said, what did you say? I have no idea. I don't know what I said 5 minutes ago. Like my wife goes, you know what you said? I'm like, no, you've been 13, 14. I don't know what I said, man. I don't know what did I say.
When we were doing the podcast, like we would record it and Randy would take like a couple of days to get to like mixing it down and stuff usually. And so it would come out on Monday. Like we record on Friday, it would come out on Monday. And people would be like, oh shit, what you said. And I would be like, I don't remember what I said on Friday. I just said a bunch of shit. I have no idea what you're even talking about now. But what do you call it? Yeah, but his report and what he is hearing is interesting in context of what Mark Hamilton's mocking right now, which was Hayden in the car today with you and Anas. It just keeps getting bigger like a clown car. But you know, that was the final day on Friday. And that I have to say, guys, the more like it's easy to self-doubt, and I've convinced myself that was Frank Oz in the car. You know what I mean?
Why wouldn't it have been? Why
wouldn't it like it's if you were in the Star Wars universe and you saw Obi-Wan's speeder and a little green guy was driving it, it would be safe to assume it was Yoda, right?
Come on.
It would have been
WWOD.
but it would have been just as wild for you to have seen George driving that car. You know what I mean? What do you do with that info? And then if it were George, it wasn't. But even if it were George, you'd be like, I can't even share that info because that's gonna just feed into, you know. And then when George is like on set, then they're like, oh wait, but I saw him on the car. I didn't believe you. So I don't know, man. Like I just find it funny that if he was chilling with Ewan. Mm-hmm. He decided to drive that car into work that day because, hey, that's a fun ride. I'd like to drive that car. Ewan's like, take my car, don't rental, you know? And then he just happens to pull up next to you. That, my friends, you know, like that's the coincidental award of 2021.
Looking at about it in Google, and it has a history. that Rolls Royce does.
Oh yeah.
I think it might have belonged to the royals at some point.
It
Really?
supported
So
the
it got-
Nazi regime in
So
World War II.
so it got
sadly.
restored. He kind of restored it, and now he drives it around. But he
Ah.
paid a lot of money for that car.
Yeah. Yeah. I was lucky I didn't crash into him. I was getting my phone out, being irresponsible. I could have crashed into him. Could have killed Obi-Wan
Yeah.
Kenobi, guys. On
That
accident.
car used to be a roadie for
Not
Metallica's Speed of
Jesus
Sound
can't
tour.
die.
That car was the original tour bus for Metallica. Is what I heard.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, fucking assholes.
Cliff died. Cliff died in that car. In that car.
It rolled on top
Oh
of him.
no,
Oh,
no!
fuck.
Look! They'll kill us all. That band means it, and I think Lars will.
I don't need to see Lars over my bed tonight, man.
He's like the Baba or the old hag, right? That like chokes you in your sleep. What's that sleep paralysis where they say there's like a hag over you? It's really Lars, and he just like ooh, just knocking the air out of you.
I am the master of puppets. But, what do you call it? I'll talk about it after Meg's thing, but I stepped in it this week on the Twitter machine. Oh, did I? But it's
What'd you do? I didn't even look.
Yeah, we'll get to it in a second.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, I could only get one controversy at a time. No, but anyways, Meg also had a very interesting report yesterday, which was killing me because I was home with my kids, and I was like, I want to cover it. Then I tried to cover it to this morning on the site, and had more calls about Star Wars stuff that I had to take. But Meg, I hope I'm not butchering it, but essentially reported that on her channel on Star Wars Meg that Jabba the Hutt and Darth Vader have cameo appearances, or appearances for that matter, in Book of Boba Fett. So two things about it I find interesting is and I like I said, no reason to doubt Meg or whatever. If it all pans out, is that it's interesting that if they would let us see Darth Vader before Kenobi when they're promoting the Kenobi one, in a way it might kind of take the wind out of the sails of that Kenobi thing just a little baby bit. If they
One
do
thought,
Yeah.
if they're both in it, maybe Boba gets pushed out of, or he doesn't want his little throne that he's sitting in towards the end of the season, and Vader, because he's from Tatooine, he comes back and he installs
dead.
Jabba.
He's dead.
He's dead.
This is after. Remember the?
That's after, right?
Yeah, it's after when he's on the throne.
There was this movie called Return of the Jedi. Thrawn, I don't know if you're aware.
Oh
of it,
shit!
I got the right timelines mixed up.
We got it.
See that I took some subtle shade out of Thrawn there.
You know
what,
what?
But that's how you do it. Like
We didn't tell him that they made those other.
Then it's got to be a flashback of some kind.
Yeah,
he's like I
that's-
only watched the prequels. You know.
Yeah, no, it's pretty, and I think she says that in her report. She pretty much says that like there's like a lot of flashbacking around, and that's, I think Star Wars Newsnet might have said that too. There was
to get on your thought about it taking the sales though out of Vader, because if he's in Obi-Wan, Vader's already in Rogue One, so I don't really, I mean, having like Hayden back, like if we see his face is a bigger deal, right? If it's just Vader in the costume, we kind of already done that, in live action. So
Yeah.
I meant to put this on my computer, but I don't have it yet. But this is the that's Buccaneer season 1, which is Book of Boba Fett, and this is the Legacy Effects Crew Department shirt. And I went on Star Wars Santa show, and I said that there was a Wookiee. Look at that Wookiee getting shot. That Wookiee's getting shot by Boba Fett. And look at the Boba Fett. It kind of looks like the Star Wars Newsnet description. So there you go. There you go. Probably makes that shit all make sense. Yeah. So Vader being in it, yeah, that would probably, I mean, in my opinion, if it's not in conflict of some kind, it would depict him hiring him on a bounty. That's important.
Exactly, and then we see him get that bounty and build his reputation.
The disintegrations.
And
it's the disintegrations. Remember that was the big deal forever.
No disintegration.
What does he mean? What does he mean? Well, I can see some fan of that older trilogy being like, I always wanted to do the disintegration story in canon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it could be like one of those things where, you know, he doesn't get paid. He goes through the whole thing and like Indiana Jones ends up at the end with nothing kind of story. Could be that.
And then he kills Kitster. Yeah, I'm taking it out of
No.
Kitster. No.
No, not Kitster. Not Kitster. Never Kitster. Never Kitster. Jabba the Hutt. CGI or puppet?
I'm saying puppet. I'm going puppet.
I feel like they would want to do puppet, but
CGI.
depending on, because on one hand, if it was the puppet, I feel like maybe there would be, or maybe it's just not out yet. Maybe Meg's just getting like the tip of the iceberg on it. But if it was a puppet, I feel like there might be more stuff around it, considering how many people it would take to do a physical puppet, and the when you see that on screen in person, what that would feel like. But
far, but hold on, but everything they've done with scale, like giant, big monsters on Mandalorian, like that, the mud rhino thing,
Mudhorn,
the sandworm, whatever,
yeah,
all that stuff, that's all CGI.
Right.
So I don't see them changing that. I mean, to build that puppet and get 4 people in there on their budget, I don't
well,
know, man.
What about just the head?
The actual budget,
the tip of Jabba, you know.
The budget of these shows is the same as the films so far. So
yeah, but over 6 hours worth of stuff. I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
that's one of those things where I'm like, I think with good compositing, your Jabba can be just as good as the puppet Jabba these days. I'm not
maybe it's a
entirely,
hologram.
because it's like when you touch a Jabba, like it does go in like a puppet. You know what I mean? Like I love the first Turtles movie, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, but anytime they touch them, like there's that scene where Raph gets thrown through the window and then they run over to grab him and it's like an empty body and they touch them and their hands go into the yeah, like if you did that to anybody, you'd be like, what the
yeah.
So
well,
I don't know.
I feel like if Jabba features prominently, we have a good chance of there being an actual puppet. If Jabba has like fucking 1 minute worth of footage in the end, probably not. They probably aren't going to dish the money on that for that. But you know, I mean, it could. You know, there's a lot of potential there. So yeah, but go check out Meg's report and you know, hear her say it, because I wanted to write notes for it. Like I said, I was on the phone up until we got ready to do this show today.
And I'm gonna say it, CGI Rancor would be better. Ooh, I said.
Oh,
it's probably true. I mean, I'm gonna give the Rancor though the credit in the sense that everything about it is classic. Little guy with the blue screen kind of thing, and the puppet and everything. You know, it using all of the classic way, like that moment. I know you don't really care about it, so it doesn't work for you, but we're never going to see that done in that style. Like you could see it like that almost like some of the Harryhausen kind of vibes in some of the moments of it. I don't think we're going to see somebody in CGI doing an homage to that today. So it is what it is.
And Zack Snyder's like, hold my beer, Rebel Moon. It's all
Rebel
puppet
Moon.
Rancors. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, Jabba, Boba Fett. You think? Did she say Mace? I don't think she said Mace.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think she said Mace. Why didn't she say Mace? And
there's no way they break that Mace bit into a first season.
Yeah, I mean, my dream ending for Book of Boba is that he does it all, and then he gets like the tip off. He's alive. You're like, what? Who is it? And then it's Mace.
My dream is that Mace is actually a species that can replicate if they get cut. So that hand grew into another Mace, right? And he's slightly younger. And now there's like, you know what I mean? Like there's old man Mace, like he was like really old, and then there's younger Mace, and he's teaching himself. Used to be my hand.
2 Maces.
You know? Yeah. Duel of the Maces.
with these hands.
Yeah, I don't remember what episode it was on where we talked about the Wookiee, but I think we have the connective tissue right there to put that Wookiee I talked about on his show in Book of Boba, and it looks like Boba shoots him, and a Gamorrean guard. And Bespin says, "Rob, you ruined me, mate. Man, he just came out with this really good story and you just tore him down."
What if he's just doing that to troll me? Like, you know, like I'm just gonna be like, Rob ruined my life. Like, well, okay, like, well, take a number, you know. My parents, Tim Bespin. Yeah, I'd throw myself under that bus, buddy.
Yeah, I want to get him on this show so we can hang out with him one of these days, but it's always like tea time. I think he says it's tea time. No, it's the different hours. It's the different times that we have from, because he lives in England.
Oh, is that where
over here we say
queen?
it's Mr. Tea Time.
Mr. Tea Time.
Yeah. So I pity the fool who misses Mr. Tea Time.
So correction, Cliff Burton would have been dead for 35 years in 20 days. Yeah. Apparently the when somebody's dead, you cannot talk about them. Okay, so here's what Meg said. Yes, Jabba and Vader are camoing in the book of Boba Fett. My guy took pics of the Hutt tail, and as he said, it could be a different Hutt, but he's pretty dead set on Jabba. It's pretty unmistakable. Okay, so I think that right there means it's a puppet. And so she has a Hutt tail.
All right. I stand corrected.
That's cool. That's pretty freaking rad.
If that's the case, then I want a whole Disney magic, behind the magic, whatever that series is, on the puppet.
Well, I mean, they would have to be fucking stupid to go and put a Hutt in the Boba Fett series and it not be Jabba the Hutt. Yeah, we all know you want to see Jabba. Weird. This is Stu the Hutt, you know.
No, it's Wookiee the Hutt. There's Jabba and his brother Wookiee.
Or his son. We got his son from the Clone Wars movie, but I mean, he's a loser. He hasn't done anything. Stinky Baby's his name. He hasn't done anything.
He's not Wookiee, he's semi-Wookiee. He's kind of strong.
Well, you know, sons of all those oligarchs never live up to their father's tyranny, so it tracks.
Geek Furious, here you go.
Yeah, it tracks.
Oh shit! I like that.
I don't know what that is. Oh, okay. Burton. Oh, yeah, okay. Burton. It's but with compression and like 20 feet between me and the screen. When he first said Cliff Barton, I was like, Hawkeye? Like, wait, duh. Like I wasn't thinking Metallica there for a second. Wow, green screen off. What happened to Jason?
What are you doing?
Jason lost. Oh, Jason's on. We can hear Jason.
Can you hear me now?
Well, we can hear your studio mic, not your...
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm invisible again.
Oh, now we can hear you.
I'm a Force Ghost again. Don't know why that happened just now. But it does what it wants.
Technical difficulties right
now. Yeah. Once I am gone, I'm a Force Ghost. I'm just here on Dagobah, you guys. Hanging out. Just hanging out.
It's a lot of bad energy.
But anyways... Yeah, you know, it hides you from the dark side, I hear. Anyways, yeah, so Book of Boba Fett, Jabba the Hutt tail, puppet. It's got to be Jabba. I'm going to bet on Jabba. I'm going to give like a 90% chance it's Jabba the Hutt, because Stinky Baby, he never even got a job.
So you guys remember the Jabba the Hutt throne room play set? Like the Jabba the Hutt came with a little like
remember it?
Yeah.
Remember it? I fucking lived it, dude, every day for 5 years. No.
So with that, I've always wanted to ask a bunch of fans this question. So on that toy set, and this ties into the show, you remove Jabba, and he has his grate, and you had these like little like heads built into these little like, I don't know, statue heads. You turn it open, and there'd be like a little floor with skulls. I think
little
that's
skulls,
that's supposed to represent where Luke falls in, but it just looks like a kitty litter trap to me, right? Like that's Jabba like this. Is that where he shits? Like I don't,
it was gotta go somewhere.
It was a budget Rancor pit.
And is that Bib Fortuna's job? Like, will we see that in the Boba Fett? Like, he's
maybe
like in there scrubbing it.
Maybe Salacious Rum is the one, or Crumb is the one.
Salacious Rum.
He's a
Johnny
scat.
Johnny Depp is playing Salacious's pirate-like brother, Salicious Rum.
I get drunk on this poo. I love this poo.
Yeah, I remember a couple of times going to the grocery store and buying 50-cent slime, putting it under Jabba for whatever reason to make it like a slime trap in there, and then put figures in there and forgetting, and then the slime like drying and crusting in there, and it taking like a very long time to clean out.
Like the He-Man slime. Was there a slime? Like a
yeah,
slime
it
pit
was.
for He-Man?
I didn't have that toy. It's probably where I got the idea, though. You know. So.
That's more clever than mine trying to pretend this is a Rancor fight in that little thing. Like I was like, it must be his bathroom. This can't be the Rancor fight. Like, what is this?
Meg, you know, I respect you. I like your show. I like the work that you do. But when you go and say that Jabba the Hutt and Darth Vader and Book of Boba Fett, your lips are not sealed.
True story.
just kidding.
Psst, this is only between us and the entire internet.
I'll tell anybody else.
Mr. Nagi says, "Color me curious." So, Ant's in the house. Sup, fellas? Been thinking the cameos we will see in Book of Boba, like Vader, Jabba, and Bosk, might be flashbacks to what we see going on now in the War of the Bounty Hunters. Just thoughts. May the Force be with you, homies.
Baby hand bosks.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, unlike in the past, I would have said, absolutely not. Timelines never add up and blah, 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 blah. But the road to Boba Fett, just like the road to Kenobi, was so stop, start. They may have actually have had a heads up enough to actually make some of this stuff interconnect for once. It will not surprise me if it doesn't in any way whatsoever. And if in fact it's hard to reconcile the two, that wouldn't
last predictions.
Yeah, that would not surprise me at all. But I'm just saying, unlike the past, this is maybe the first time it's at least kind of possible. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, you have the personality of watching paint dry. Sounds good.
Well, you know, if you check me out on YouTube, you can actually watch me paint and watch paint dry while my personality matches. I mean, I suppose it's like what. Okay, love you too, buddy. Peace. You know,
you're the one hanging out with us.
Yeah, no more should be here.
All this Hutt talk has me chuckling, thinking about Sice Noodles murdering Zero the Hutt in the Clone Wars. It's the Star Wars story I never knew we needed. Yeah, that story. I was telling Rob about it. It opens up with Sice Noodles doing a Huttese rendition of Anything Goes. And then we learn that she has a secret love affair of some kind with Zero, which is weird because Zero is totally not banging chicks at all. He's Truman Capote, not into it. So it must have been about keeping up appearances. It was the Clone Wars. It was, it was like 50 years ago, different time. And
it's actually the script Lucas wanted Lynch to direct. And it was made for him. It just never got done. So he brought it over and it makes total sense now.
I love when Lynch is like, he talked about little teddy bears and I got a headache and went home.
I'm not the biggest Lynch fan. I like Twin Peaks. That's my jam. Yeah. But I love listening to him talk about anything. Like just his ability to speak and his opinions. He is a fascinating. Like if he did a podcast like Dave Lynch just reads the phone book, I would pay for that weekly. Like he's so good.
Eraserhead captures every relationship I've ever been in as it fails.
It's literally the movie. If you use a Rob, what do you hate? I hate that movie. I hate that experience. I hated it when I saw it in high school. I had to sit through it again in the Army once because some assholes played it and we were stuck on fire guard. Yeah. And then in college, I had this lighting teacher who did lighting on Dune and Blue Velvet and stuff, right?
Okay.
And Doug Hirsch is his name. And he goes, "Hey, we could take the final, or we can watch a movie." I'm like, "I'll take the final. I already know what's coming." Because he had this look, he had this glint in his eye. I'm like, it's fucking Eraser. I just know it because these kids never seen it. This is like a commercial art school. They didn't never see the shit.
Right.
And he goes, everyone voted for the movie because they don't fucking study. And he puts this on. He goes, the trick is no one can leave. It's excruciating. It's hell. The only thing I can liken to it was I had to see The Spirit in a theater that had the air conditioning wouldn't shut off, and it smelled like feet in there. That's the closest. So it was cold, smelled like feet, and it's the movie The Spirit. That's the experience I remember watching Eraserhead for the third time.
Yeah. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay. I was down at the Mandalorian set. Hayden Christensen wasn't driving a car. George Lucas wasn't driving a car, but they were building Mandalorian sets. Okay. So that's really weird. When I go to share, okay, here it is. Okay, I'm gonna go to a Chrome tab and turn off that. All right. I'm not sure which one I'm sharing first because I didn't name them. Okay, this is the set. And can you guys see this now? Kinda. You kinda see it.
Yeah, I can kind of see it.
So yeah, basically that right there is the best picture I could kind of get at the moment of the streets that they're building down there. To me, the blue is a little bit from the color tinting that I had to do on it to make it show up because it was a very, very bright day. It's like 102 degrees that day. And over to the right, you can see some very white looking a wood structure, and that's more street. And unlike the previous Nevarro sets, these ones are being built very close together. They keep putting yellow awnings on the front and taking the yellow awnings off. I'm not sure if and we have a picture of one on a past episode. Beats me which episode it was now. But with all of that said, I don't know if they're trying to, if this is going to have like modifications to make it look like it's different places. But my assumption based on the layout is that it's being designed so they can run through it. And it will look like kind of like it's like a maze almost, you know, like they're running through like the back streets or something.
Yeah, through the
Back
I
street
thought you
boys.
meant the whole. I was like, minecart sequence?
Yeah, no, just let's
Water
like,
slide from Goonies?
you know, like they did that on the Tantavie 4, you know, how they use like the different hallways and different bunch of different cameras to get a bunch of different angles. It looks like a bunch of different stuff. So it might be something like that. But there's a symbol and you can't see it on the front of that building right now because this is actually a different modular piece in the front than before, I believe. But it is captured on a different set piece that I was able to grab, and I'm gonna go and pull that up right now. And it's a symbol that I have seen on different props for this place that is making the rounds, so to speak. And hold on, let me share that screen with you guys. Yeah, I understand. Let's proceed. Did I show? I think it would be the smaller one. And it is that. I don't know if it is going to be seen yet. Here it goes. So I don't know if anybody, let me get rid of Nolan's comment. Yeah, I don't know if anybody has ever seen that anywhere else or if this is a new symbol, but that is on a lot of stuff. What does it mean?
Mandalorian QA codes.
Well, there was
20% off Beskar or something.
There was a rumor that I think could be worth connecting to this as a potential anyway. And I'm not saying that hey, this is what it is, blah, 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 you know, doing the old Bespin Bulletin warning of, you know, I'm just saying that there was an actor and his name was Jordan Bolger. And Jordan Bolger was said to be on the book of Boba Fett, which ended up not being accurate. And he was in Peaky Blinders. You might know him from Tom and Jerry as Cameron.
Of course.
No, but he was in Peaky Blinders as Isaiah. I think it's or Isia. I don't know. Whatever, something like that. And yeah. So and he was said to be cast in a gang role as a gang leader or something like that. And we just started kind of speculating. We were talking. We're like, well, what if it's what if he's part of that gang? What if that gang is taking over Nevarro and Boba has to go and get his friend back? Do a favor for his friend, something like that. That's all. This is all speculation now, but that's when Mando 3 was supposed to have started shooting like a long time ago now, before Kenobi.
Assault on Nevarro 13.
Yeah, Nevarro 2, the other Nevarro. It looks just like it, using all the same set pieces, but it's a different planet. So don't get mad at us.
Would it have anything to do with the doctor that was running tests on Grogu?
No, the doctor who was doing the tests on Grogu wears the cloners. Has the cloners.
I want
symbol.
those glasses he wears, those 70 shades.
Yeah.
Those Art Bells, right? Like,
yeah.
Those are the Art Bell shades. I'm like, yes. He needs that long cigarette too, and some ABBA. I could see a dumb version of the show where they're like, what does this symbol mean? And they're like, it's a map. Right? Look, and then it lines, and they hold the key up, and they line it. And oh wait, never mind.
Oh, there it is. It's the path to Grogu's mom's house. Yeah.
I was gonna say with the Obi picture earlier, he looks like he could be saying they swim now.
It's possible. Okay. Bespin, Geek Fury said, Bespin told me not to tell anyone, but it's Dagobah. Take it with a grain of salt. My lips are sealed. But yeah, but
salt.
Good work today to both Star Wars Mag or yesterday and Bespin Bulletin for today. Because honestly, the idea of Darth Vader coming out of a forest, jungle, Dagobah, whichever it may be, is not exactly a visual that came to mind when I'm arguing with people all day that Kenobi doesn't have to stay on Tatooine for 20 years. He could leave for a couple days if adventure calls. And yeah, just not one that I saw coming. And I think it's a fun visual to have in your brain, on that speculative side of like, what does it mean? What's it going to do? And I will say it will probably, unless it's like the most secret shot in the whole thing and it's awesome that it got out. That sounds like the kind of shot that they would probably put on posters and shit. You know what I mean, though? Like I could kind of see that stuff.
Like Splinters of the Mind's Eye.
Yeah.
Literally the same visage. Although there is an 80s Lucas out there who has Vader swinging like Tarzan right now, With a saber. Yeah. Look, I mean, they did do the rope swings in Revenge of the Sith, right? Like
it's true.
Oh no! What if they brought that back? Oh,
I hope so. I hope so.
But like old, like Vader. I don't know if Vader's swinging around on a rope and that costume looks the same. Right?
That looks super clunky.
Yeah, no. I feel like Vader should feel most of the time like he weighs the same as RoboCop. And then you could justify a lot of the superhero antics with Force stuff if you just, that's why. Okay, guys, he could do certain things, but I think it takes away if he's too agile, it just doesn't feel right. And he works when he's like coming at you like a slow Terminator kind of thing, and he's just like
Jason,
super, like me, just like me.
Yeah, Voorhees, Jason Voorhees.
Jason Voorhees. But yeah, I mean, and so you guys want to see how I stepped in it?
Please.
So I'm just like hanging out, I'm not doing anything too serious with my life at this time. Just a holiday. And old Mark Hamill, he tweets out, somebody tells him, if you tweet Mark Hamill, you get a lot of retweets, a lot of likes. And so he does it, and it has like a bajillion, right? And me and Marky H, as I call him, we're buds. He likes my shit, I like his. We're on the level. And I'm like, now what would happen if you tweeted out Carrie Fisher? Because everybody loves Carrie Fisher. I love Carrie Fisher. And Mark Hamill liked it. he knew what I meant. Because if he tweeted out just Carrie Fisher, it would get more likes and more retweets than Mark Hamill.
Right.
Because she fucking died. She's dead, but doesn't mean that we don't talk about her or that we don't
But I can see where this is going. Like,
Oh,
the
yeah.
minute you said it, I'm like, well, I could just see the
Yeah.
Voldemort is out there like salivating at this nonsense, right? Like,
Yeah. So I'm okay. What happens when you tweet out Carrie Fisher? And this guy's like, okay, what happens when you use the name of a deceased friend and colleague to farm Twitter likes? You don't have to tweet everything you think. Get a grip.
that's why I was like wincing because I'm like, oh no.
So a based pimp is trying to tell you how to be cordial and morally superior.
But like,
Little
yeah,
dude, little guy. Oh.
it's funny though, because it says almost everything that you need to know about Twitter itself. Because like last time I looked, I was like at like 1,000 likes for that, because people are like, yeah, tweet out Carrie. We love Carrie. Let's talk about her. You know what I mean? Let's like remember her. And then the other side is like, what? You are dishonoring her memory. She
remembering
is a princess.
her.
like
I guess I could never watch the movies ever again or see anything she's ever done.
I mean, it's like, and it's like, don't get me wrong. Like, some of them might be sincere. I think most of them just want to like attack and be assholes, you know? But it's like, Carrie Fisher would have thought that it, at the very least, that the joke was, even if it was the worst way, it was probably funny, to be honest with you. She actually had a thing called a sense of humor. But yeah, so I'm like taking the day off yesterday because it's a holiday. And I'm like, okay, day off sounds good, right? And then I'm like, I'm not gonna really answer my phone or anything like that. And
He wouldn't even read my Garfield comic. I found some Twitter thing where it's called Garfield Gets Thrown Out a Window, and it's every Garfield strip, but the last panel is Garfield being thrown out a window. And I'm like, this makes it insanely better. And I know there's a lot of Garfield ones, like What If Garfield's a Ghost, but I love the one where he just gets thrown out a window.
Yeah.
Like, because you can literally paste Jason going, hey, Mark Campbell, tweet, Mark Campbell tweets it, and then Garfield just gets thrown out a window. Like makes total sense.
Right.
In my naivete, I thought when I tweeted that, there was never in my brain a moment where anybody would get mad about Mark Hamill retweeting saying Carrie Fisher. Right. And everybody, and because who fucking hates Mark Hamill? Nobody that has a heart. And who, Carrie Fisher? I was just like, what is this? I'm just like, it really proves that you can't fart on Twitter and somebody not get offended. Half the people will like you, but most won't. Just the way that it is. But and I was just like, yeah, it was like all these people are like she's dead, she's a princess. I'm like, dude, she was like she fucking partied and she was cool and she told fucking jokes and she didn't like you think she's Princess Leia, I think, and that she's really dead, like the character's dead and it's like a real thing, and like no, it's like there's a person and we liked her. And then they're like, it's his dead friend. And it's like, that's a weird perspective. It's almost, how many years has it been? I could see if it was last night.
For Carrie?
2016.
Yeah, I think so. 2016, 2017.
So we're almost going on 5 years. I think it's okay to remember Carrie Fisher and to not worry about somebody having a tear in their eye in 2021. I don't know. Maybe you should have
been like Tweet Wing Commander. Like, see where that gets you, Mark.
I came really close to digging up my DMs with Carrie Fisher and posting what we were friends.
It's just her sending you photos, flipping you off, right? Like you're like, that's Carrie. That's what she does.
It actually, the one time I talked to Carrie Fisher, it was about a certain taco truck burrito that has a really, really awesome vegetarian burrito. And she said that it's the best and it's helping with my fat ass is what I think she said. And that's why I at the time I was like, starting my diet, and I was like, these vegetarian burritos are fucking good. They're like, just put it to like a big salad and a burrito, but they have this sauce. Oh, it's really, really awesome.
Speaking of Carrie, I don't know where her acting prowess or engagement was in 1988, 89.
Yeah.
But I rewatched The Burbs with my wife because she hadn't seen it. And she's like, how did I miss this one? By the way, the score to The Burbs is really good. Even though it's a sin score, it's no slight on sin scores, but they didn't spend the money, but it's really great. Like, it has this Western feel to it. But I was like, I wonder what that movie would have been like if Carrie had been in the Tom Hanks role and Hanks had been like a Mr. Mom, if that would have been the more interesting, where her other boyfriends want her to go, oh, you want to go with your boyfriend? Yeah, my friends want me to go out to play. Like, there's a more interesting, because she had when she was on, she had the acting chops to out Hanks in that movie big time. And I just don't see her playing like the straight person to Hanks in that film. Like, Hanks is kind of a straight guy to those other guys too. Yeah. So like them having like a friend slash like mom figure, you know what I mean? Like their bad stepmom, lets them go out and do all this nonsense in the neighborhood. I don't know. Like, I just feel like that would have been interesting.
If I had a time machine and I went back to direct that movie, I would literally swap Hanks with Fisher and have Fisher be the one who's seeing the shit, and Hanks is the one who wants to keep the neighborhood normal and to not get involved and don't cause trouble. Right.
Like, he just, because he seems like that. There's like that movie. That's the one thing where I'm like, Hanks is fine, but I just don't get his personality with those people in that. I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know. But with Carrie, I'm like, this would get way better. But maybe she was, I don't know what the word is, but like they had to get rid of her, like, leave. That's why her character disappears for a while. I don't know where she was personally at that time.
Was one of the neighbors Bruce Stern?
Yeah, Bruce Stern.
Yeah.
He plays the ex-Vietnam. He's got all the sniper scopes.
Well, if they switch that, then they need to recast him with Gary Busey.
Gary Busey.
It's too crazy. It's too. Bruce Stern is great in that role. Actually.
He is good.
So. Well, you know how in Clone Wars and Bad Batch, Saw Gerrera looks like one guy, and then you get to Star Wars Rebels and Rogue One, and he looks like Ghost Dog. Saw Gerrera. Well, maybe after that one, we could have him survive the blast, and with the reconstructive surgery, he looks like Gary Busey. That was a lot of work to get to say.
That's a lot of effort.
Yeah. That was a lot of work. I got halfway in.
That's like Dennis Miller telling stand-up. Like, all right.
I got halfway in, and I was like, oh, I'm too far to turn back now.
Look, here's the trick. Write the joke down, and if it takes too long to write, don't say it.
You should have started with, have you seen Futurama?
Geek phrase says Professor Carey had a sense of humor. Proof. I thought I said professor. So funny story. I'm not really big on the whole mentor thing, but my mentor's name was Carrie, and she was my professor from undergrad to grad school, and that's why I went right there. Anyways, proof. Oh, and by the way, her teaching me ethnography is how I learned how to scoop. Strange but true. Proof Carrie had a sense of humor. I have a screen cap of her liking my tweet about her. She used weird characters. Guys, I think I found the Zodiac Killer, and she's my childhood crush. That's pretty good. Hey, it's Ben Maynard. I was thinking about Ben today. We haven't seen him in a couple of days. And before everything got super busy, I was going to do a roll call. I was going to go back to one of the earlier episodes and write down everybody's name real quick. And then I was going to take roll like it was class and then chastise people who weren't there. That was my only plan for a show until the shit got kicked up today. Anyways, Real Ben says, dropping by for a min, babysitting the niece. Quick thoughts on everything. Vader and Jabba potentially in Boba means we're likely getting a War of the Bounty Hunters. They interact in it. Yeah, I mean, but the thing I think it's important to consider is that if War of the Bounty Hunters is happening in the comic, it's not happening in the show, because they wouldn't let what's happening in the show happen in the comic. I think that's just a safe assumption to make. But I think that the War of the Bounty Hunters stuff is going to probably inform very specific the climate very specifically for the era in which War of the Bounty Hunters is set. And the show setting out where everybody's at and what that's going to mean probably allowed for that story arc to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it shakes out. I also need to read more of the Bounty Hunters now because it keeps getting brought up, and I just like to know what I'm talking about a little bit sometimes. Sometimes
Yeah, I haven't even. How many issues is it in so far?
beats me, but I mean they're fucking comic books. It's not like you know what I mean. It's like I could, if they suck, I could speed read a comic book, and if they don't suck, then it is a delicious delight.
Yeah,
So
some of them don't.
I
suck,
love
that's
to
for
not
sure.
know. You know, that's my job here on the show is to not know and redact. So I've secured this position, and I don't have to watch it. I can just be like, all right, I'll take your word for it. I'll watch it in the live action shows. But all this ancillary stuff, unless something really breaks through, like Lost Stars broke through, Bloodlines kind of broke through for a while there, and Catalyst. Those are the three extra things that I've gotten into. Nothing else is broken through other than Jedi Fallen Order.
right.
That would be about it. What are you opening up a pack of Topps cards in there, buddy?
Are you shuffling?
I was making sure this thing didn't have a dent in it.
I know he's doing his eBay while we're doing the show. He's like, hey man, I'm multitasking.
No, I was fixing this.
All right. Okay. Very, very, very focused.
Oh, nice. Geek Furious just tweeted the Carrie screen crap thing as evidence. So yeah, check out Geek Furious on Twitter to see it. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, it is a bit weird because I was like, you know, when I said it or after I said it, and then people started crying about it, I was like, oh shit! Like if I said it and it offended Mark, and that's how he felt. I'd be like, oh, but he liked it because he knows me. I don't mean like we're like I was joking earlier, but he knows like my sense of humor. He knows like what the I know we know some of the same people and stuff, and so he knew what I meant. He knew he doesn't see Making Star Wars and go, that guy hates Carrie Fisher and mocks her, that piece of shit, you know. And but he liked it, and I was like, okay. When he liked it, I was like, that's good. You know what I mean? I'm good. But a lot of people like to speak for other people. I'll say that much. That is
It's true.
that is
Yeah, it's my favorite thing to do. I'm gonna speak for the wards. You don't like her. You don't like the Fisher. You don't like her. You know, you're like a Fisher crappy king. You know, you're not even. I don't know.
The Fisher.
So they got Christopher Lloyd to do the TV spot with the real Morty.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Apparently, that's the original idea was based on a perverted Doc and Marty.
You never got that?
No,
Oh yeah.
You know, Marty, Professor,
Yeah.
and dimensions instead of time.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's like a Back to the Future spoof that gets out of control. You know what I mean? And it becomes its own thing. Like,
Well, they before the first season launched, they did it. Harmon and them did an interview, and they were saying that the one thing they won't do is go back in time because of the Back to the Future influence. Like if we did that, then it's too much. So we can go different dimensions, but we don't go backwards and forwards in time. Like,
and
don't
Dan
have
Harmon is on that what's it, that Back to the Future documentary talking about Marty's heroic his hero's journey or whatever. He basically has nothing to do with him. It's a very
so
like
the movies
unique,
that made
weird-
us.
No, it's an actual Back to the Future documentary.
Okay.
It's like maybe like the only one, or at least the only like big one. It's on. It might be on Amazon Prime. I can't remember now where it's good though. But yeah, yeah. So it was cool to see that acknowledged. I've seen Bob Gale talk about it. He's like, oh yeah, we influenced that. I don't think he's super happy about it. It was just a small vibe though, not a lot. But
Bob's weird. Like,
yeah.
Especially with the sequels. Like, I was listening to this audio commentary or something that he's like, yeah, if I could go back and change one thing about the first film, I'd probably work in the chicken thing. I'm like, no, how about you just drop the chicken thing, because Marty doesn't need a freaking arc. His arc is repairing his, the only arc I could see Marty needing, and this is, I told you, like my issue with the second film, is that it shouldn't be his kids when they're young have the issues. It should be that Marty was a good dad.
Yeah.
But when you're a good dad and you're successful, you have shitty kids. His kids grow up to be shitty kids or older. But, in the future, like they go to 2055 instead of 2015, and they're like older shit fuckers. And it was like, yeah, he was good, but he wasn't there. You know, maybe he was like an absent father because he was out touring and being this rock star and stuff. So he had to learn to, you know, like it's one of those things where he gets like the Ebenezer Scrooge future thing where you got to be careful that you can not become a bad person, but you can become a person who's not there. Like your father was there for you. You have to be there for your kids. Remember that, Marty. Like that's the lesson. But Gail was like, no, I'll go back and work this chicken thing into the first film. Like that doesn't make the movie better in any way, shape, or form. Needles and all that stuff. It just
My favorite Back to the Future movie is Back to the Future Part 2. But I will say that the movie literally basically has no heart whatsoever. And that's because when they go to the future, there really is no real true emotional connection between the heroes and between Marty and his kids or anything like that. Like in the first one, he meets his father. They have a relationship of some kind. And the second one, it's just like them hiding out from themselves, basically.
Yeah.
and it's a complicated thing because how do you have a relationship for someone like in Back to the Future 1, you spend time with Marty and his dad, and you see the family staring at his father when he's making bad jokes or eating peanut brittle, you know, or getting bullied into buying peanut brittle, which is my favorite deleted scene probably of all time. It's so good. But in the sequel, how do you get emotional about kids you've never met or will meet? You know, like there's these hypothetical things that exist in the future. So he has to see himself not be there for them, or them say, I wish I knew my father. This is how he probably would have wanted me to be. And he could go, that's not what I wanted for you or something. And I think maybe the person to contact, and I told you, one of the big misses of the Back to the Future trilogy is you never get to meet Uncle Jailbird Joey.
Yeah.
And I think when he goes back to the evil 1980s and Biff is in control and it's like Trumpville and all that stuff, is that there was a sequence originally cut from that film where Doc gets put in a mental asylum. It's in the story, right? Doc is in a mental asylum. But like it would have been something for like Marty having gone to jail and his Jailbird Joey breaks him out. You know what I mean? Like he gets that lesson. He gets something like he's able to move forward because his uncle, who's always in jail, is finally able to like help free, you know, his family or something. Like that's one of those things.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Like I hate to be like, oh, I would know better than Bob. Yeah, I don't. But I feel like those sequels were made under protest sometimes. Like they didn't want to make sequels, you know,
Right.
and they found a way to do it because, hey, everyone wants one. We like the crew. Let's get it together. And if the studio could have flexed and be like, hey, we made Jaws 2. We'll fucking make a sequel without you, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So better us make it than, you know, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I always wanted a little bit more from part 3, but I think I said it before. Every time I watch it, like I watch 3 and I'd be like, it's not as bad as I thought it was. And then I think it's better than it is. And then I watch it and it lets me down. It's like I just flip flop back and forth on that one for years, like about that kind of stuff. But, I always thought it was weird too that Marty he time travels, and in that version of 2015, he never tells Jennifer, he never tells his kids, like they don't know, they have no fucking clue, and because if
he was traveling through time as a young man,
yeah, because it could have been, that's another interesting way that if they could have taken it was people thought he was eccentric and kind of a lunatic if he told anybody ever told anybody about it, and then it would be confirmed it was real when they go to the future.
Would have been
You know what I
funny
mean?
if that was the name of his album, like Back in Time or something. You know what I mean? Or he like his like he put the time travel adventures in musical form. You
Or
know,
Marty
like,
McFly and the News.
or if he became eccentric, then he could be like the town's new Doc Brown.
Right. Yeah. They made a video game that kind of goes into some of that stuff, and it's kind of fun. I mean, it has some good moments. Some of the story is very cartoony, and some of it's very good.
I think
Kinda
I,
like all
I
of
think I
them.
played
oh
it.
yeah, the Telltale game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a game. Like if you just watch it straight through, but the story is fairly deep. Like it's pretty good. Like I give a solid 3. You know,
Somebody edited it into a Back to the Future Part 4 and 5 on YouTube. And you could like just sit there and watch. So if you've already played the game, but you just want to see the story stuff, you can do it that way. It
I
frustrates
like
me.
3. I just think like the problem I have with 3 is again Marty goes back in time and he's like a gunslinger. He doesn't play music. Like he should have taught his great grandfather how to play the music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and his great grandfather taught him like, hey, maybe you should learn how to play I don't know, like classics. I don't know, like something. There's that opportunity where they have the ZZ Top in there. Marty could have been riffing with ZZ Top, but he's out there being Clint Eastwood, and I'm like, all right, yeah. I guess maybe it's that mid to late '80s, like everyone needs an action hero, and Marty wasn't an action hero. He was in the middle of action because he had to like keep his father from getting hurt, or like he in the first movie. Like,
Well,
he wasn't seeking, like he wasn't like he was like fighting bullies at school or
situational action.
Yeah. He was taking the courage that his father didn't have, self-confidence, right? His father didn't have self-confidence, and so that's the transference of father to son.
Yeah, they just, well, in part 3 they do the role reversal of Doc is the one that's not being responsible and is talking to girls, and Marty's the one who's like having to keep them. Marty's the straight man in the episode for the most part, and it kind of works out in a way because he ends up learning all of the lessons, and he does have an arc, and they do complete it from part 2 in that one. But you basically have Marty being mostly mature for that movie, and then completing the maturity arc. So it's like it's not really in question ever because of that. When he's telling Doc the whole time what Doc needs to be doing, it's like he knows he's learned from part 2. And so
I do like the
focus.
I do like the opening to Back to the Future 2 and 3. Like I like the cloud sequence in 2 and that score cut to those clouds. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I know it's stupid, but I'm like, I would like that Soarin' moment in like Disney California Adventure where I could just play the Back to the Future music soaring through the clouds. Like this would be amazing. And that somber opening to Back to the Future 3 where it's just everyone in like Doc's house, like after that's like the only breather you get in those films really, before the first film, after the first film, it's like, yeah, you only get that breather right there.
I mean, the middle of Back to the Future is for me is just where it slumps. Like when the slow moments with Clara Clayton's window and shit, you're just like, this isn't where you want to spend time in a Back to the Future movie.
No, it seemed pretty out of place for me.
Yeah.
I watched it.
Yeah. I don't know. I've said it before. I threw up as what was I, 8 years old when that movie came out. And I was so excited for it in line behind Lakewood Center Theater. I threw up. Barfed my brains out. I was so excited for it.
I've never gotten so excited I've barfed.
Back to the Future Part 3. And I loved the movie when I saw it. You know what I mean? And it was a good time. It delivered for 10-year-old, 9-year-old, whatever I was, Jason. It just when I watch it now, I'm like, some of that stuff's a little bit wasted. But yeah, same thing with it's weird when you're a kid. Like I was talking about, like people were telling me like, when you were a kid, you didn't like Empire Strikes Back, and I was like, no, I liked it. It had the most boring moments of any of it because Jabba's palace is pretty fucking exhilarating when you just watch a whole movie to see the monster.
These are the movies they remember. If we got that fucking DeLorean, we went back and we actually pulled out their VHS collection from the 80s. It's not filled with fucking Oscar winners. It's like Follow That Bird, like the shitty stop motion He-Man where it was just like a comic book like videos.
Short Circuit 1 and 2.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
You watch it.
Yeah. Critters 2,
Yeah. Munchies. Remember Munchies?
Munchies.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Hey man, that's actually one of the better ones. You're naming the good stuff. You got to get into the real bad stuff, the Mac and Me's,
Yeah. Mac and Me.
Batteries not included.
You got Mac and Me. You got your Garbage Pail Kids. You got your Masters of the Universe movie. You got
Garbage Pail Kids is the only time I went to a theater and heard kids cry. Like, because the gator was like eating, like they were just so weird looking. Kids were crying, not just once, but throughout the film. Parents had to keep taking their kids out of the theater. Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. The closest was in the Army when the South Park movie came out. There's a line where their teacher says, "I don't trust anything that bleeds for 7 days and doesn't die." And like 3 women walked out. I was like, fair enough. I'm not gonna, everyone has their tolerance.
But it's like you're not supposed to agree with it. You're supposed to know that Mr. Garrison is a fucking idiot.
but they walked out. But these kids were crying because it was so traumatic. The Garbage Pail Kids movie is the most traumatic thing I've ever
weird.
seen kids experience in real time, other than 9/11. Like, I mean, it was that bad. Like, it was.
I had an afternoon as a child where my uncle was digging a tree stump out of his front yard, and I helped. And then I was done. He's like, I don't want you getting heat stroke out here, man. So he's like, why don't you just go in and watch videos? And like, he had his buddies come over and they're like, all like drinking beers in the front. I'm like, they're going to be in there for a very long time. They're going to be out there. I'm all, what do I want to put on? So here's my double feature. I'm 8 years old. It's Faces of Death Part 1 and The Exorcist.
Ooh, nice combo.
Yeah. And I was just like, okay. And then I'm like, what is she doing with that cross? Is she doing what I think she's doing right now? No. What? Oh yeah, she's doing that. And yeah, now I'm me. Ugh. So there you go. That's how it happens. But I came to this realization a couple of weeks ago about horror films when my daughter loves horror films, and I will let them watch anything that doesn't have that's not insane and that doesn't have like, you know, like nudity. Who cares? Tits be tits, but it's the context of nudity and stuff like that, you know. And I'm trying not to raise my kids to go around thinking that they should be ashamed of their bodies because they, you know, whatever. And but I'm like, you know, but when it comes to like 80s films, half of the bad 80s films were just designed as a way to put boobs in
Boobs in
films
your face.
because you couldn't get porn, you know. And you don't see, and now when you watch horror films, they don't really do the boob thing because they can't compete with you porn or whatever.
Howard the Duck. If people go, how's the Star Wars? Howard the Duck has duck nudity, man. Like for no reason. Like
No reason at all.
None. Like,
dude.
Like the play duck thing alone would have been funny if it was just the name, but no, we got to show the duck
even farther.
What would
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, Leah
First
Thompson
Marvel movie
is gonna bang the duck. Like it's on the table.
He gets the boner, the bill, the feather. It's so weird in the 80s how they would just cram something in there like that, you know. And
Yeah.
I'm surprised Gremlins didn't have it. Yeah, like Spielberg did a good job of not doing that. I mean, he'd rip a beating heart out, and show it to you, like, and then light the man on fire. But no boobs.
They're like, come on, Phoebe, you already did it in Fast Times.
No, don't.
Yeah, Phoebe. I agree though. She should do the Fast Times scene all the time.
She's a gem in that film. Don't sully the memory.
I sullied that memory, buddy. It's too late.
Oh, you Al Bundys out there.
Too late. Oh yeah, you're way too late.
Piggins.
Hey, dude, I told my dad not to throw out his copy of Blame It on Rio, which is with Demi Moore, because why make the video collection smaller, Dad? Somebody gave it to him, and one of his girlfriends would get mad. Why did you have that? I'm like, it's Michael Caine. Come on. But Blame It on Rio. Don't watch it. It's not worth your time in 2021.
It's the prequel to that Birds film. Rio, Birds.
Dude, I remember in the like late 80s when everyone was on a high that it only cost $20 to buy a previously viewed VHS tape, when in the previous decade it was like $100 to buy Crocodile Dundee. But and when you think about that, in 1990, $1 had $2 spending power. So that $20 VHS tape everybody was buying from the warehouse was actually like a $40 VHS tape. Yeah, today they were spending $40 on a previously viewed copy of Bird on a Wire. And I remember one time I meet a girl at school, and she's like, "Let's go to your house after school." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, let's do that." We walk in and she looks at it. She's like, "What do you got to put on?" She looks on. She goes, looks at me and she goes, "You bought Bird on a Wire?" And I was just like, "Nah, that's my dad."
My uncle's best friend opened up a video store just so he could bootleg the tapes and sell them to this apartment complex.
So
he
it
had
was
a
like
video store.
it was like a
But-
it was like a it's like a laundering effort for.
But everyone's
video?
copies, when you bootleg VHS tapes, it would have this like strobing effect for like copyright protection or something. And so everyone would be watching these films that did this weird strobe, and it would drive me nuts. I was like, can anyone just? It got me out of like piracy at an early age. I'm like, can't take the quality. I can't take it. I'm a colors guy, and this is like it's like having color blindness.
Yeah.
Or like when you take your, I don't know how to describe it. Like when you take off a polarized lens, not that it's out of focus, but it's like more washed out. You know, like it would look like that.
Oh yeah, I know. I remember the bootleg VHS tapes. When I was a kid, we lived in a really bad neighborhood, and while my dad was at work and I was at school, somebody broke in and stole the VCR and my Nintendo. And when they did this, there was a rental of Crocodile Dundee in there, and my dad had to spend the video store guys like it's like $80, something like that. And my dad's like, come on, man, are you serious? My dad's like haggling with them almost. And he's like, yeah, but he's like, but if you buy this bootleg copy for $40, we'll just call it even. So my dad bought a bootleg copy
So
of
that
Crocodile
guy
Dundee.
made his money.
So he was happy. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, very weird. I was like, couldn't you just have taken the $40 instead? Instead, he sold my dad a tape. I don't know. I guess he wanted to get that shit out of there. I don't know.
Wasn't Batman '89 like $40 when it came out back then?
Oh, geez, I don't remember.
Yeah. It was $39.99. That was a deal. So, like I said, that was the last time I barfed up until January 2020. Was we got that Batman '89 thing, and I ate so much popcorn and licorice and candy watching it 7 times that I threw up. And I hadn't thrown up until January 2020. It was right before COVID hit. We had this giant indoor Olympic-sized pool, and I was like, I want to swim again. And I went in there, and I don't know, someone must have peed in the water, because when I came home, it was like out the mouth and nose, like Exorcist style, bro. And I was like, what is happening? I was like, what is this? So I'll never go swimming again.
My cokehead mom was on a bender for a couple of weeks. We hadn't seen her for a while. Nobody knew where she was. And she shows up with Batman on the first day it came out and gives it to me. And I'm like,
Warner Brothers ball cap.
I'm like, oh, it's cool that you're a total fucking 80s fucking crackhead or whatever. And I'm like, because you gave me Batman. So I'm just like watching Batman, ignoring her. But inside it, there was a pack-in, and it was showing upcoming Batman toys and stuff that you can buy. And it was like a mail-away form. And realizing the gravity of the situation.
The movie merch.
Yeah,
it was
the
a Warner
merch.
Bros. Movie merch with the denim jackets and
it had the Batwing.
They all look like toy. John Peters. The guy modeling it is like they all have the John Peters hair. yeah.
But it had the Batwing toy in it,
right?
And it was like, I don't know, I'm gonna make it up, $39.99 or something. And so I tell my mom I need this, and she's like, okay. And so I actually, like, realizing the situation, convinced her to walk down to the liquor store to get herself some cigarettes, because I know she was going to want those. And I'm like, also get a money order so we can mail this off. I'm like, and so she does it. And that very day, so I go down there and I write the envelope out myself. I put that shit in the mail. Dude, it could have been because I was in kid time. But I feel like that shit took a year to come. It eventually came.
It wasn't 6 to 8 weeks. It was like 52 weeks. Yeah.
It was like I was like a whole nother fucking kid at that point. By the time that shit came, it was a long time. But damn, was that toy rad. That Batwing was fucking awesome.
Did it come in the packaging or like a cardboard box? Because a lot of those mail order things always came in like just a cardboard box. They didn't have the fun packaging.
I feel like it actually had the fun packaging. And it had a handle on the bottom.
Yeah, so you could squeeze it into the jaw, the trimmer should come out.
Yeah,
I had that one too.
Yeah, and you could grab the Joker. It was fucking badass. Yeah,
You
it
could
was-
cut him in half with those fucking scissors. Yeah, man.
So let me ask you this: if you were going to be murdered by the Joker right now, which Joker would you be the most afraid of being murdered by?
The fucking Jared Leto Joker. Because
'Cause-
look what he does to himself. He has tattoos all over his face, and
Oh, this
You
this
know-
relates. Jared Leto has definitely done mushrooms and Joshua Tree.
look
For
what
sure.
Jared Leto did to his coworkers on the Suicide Squad. Like, said him use condoms and rats. I don't. That guy would get weird. He'd do something you wouldn't expect, and you're like, I don't want to. Can you just kill me like a normal Joker?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
he wants those edgelord stories that come out later, and then like nobody reports it, so he starts reporting it himself, and then later on he's like, no, I never did that, and it's like, I sent a used condom to Will Smith.
Well, I know they didn't really show his face on Titans, but the Titans Joker, he's
What are you doing, bro? It's funny. Yeah, I think that that with Leto, you know, like he's so fucking weird, man. Like if I had to be killed by a Joker, I'd rather be killed by the Walking Phoenix Joker because he'll just shoot you in the head and be done with it. Like
Yeah,
the Jack Nicholson one will scar you with acid, so that's no fun.
I'm kind of actually like literally the most afraid of the Jack Nicholson one, or if we just said
no,
that,
because he shot Bob. Like that was a clean kill.
yeah, that's
know?
true.
I mean, he'll be best friends with you for 50 years and then just shoot you randomly for no stupid fucking reason.
I remember actually too, my uncle came over. He had never seen the movie. He was of that generation that was like, Batman. Oh, that stuff's, you know, GAY. You know what I mean? Like that's how like people saw Batman at the time. He was still in that fucking stupid mindset, that homophobic mindset. And so he sits down and he watches it and he's like totally loving it. But when Bob the Goon comes out, he just started cracking up and he was like, yeah. I was like, man, because you don't know, I have a lot of family members that are totally like into drugs. There were. And Bob the Goon struck a chord because he was pretty on. It was pretty on like that.
Yeah.
And when I see it now, I'm like, Bob the Goon is fucking badass. Like Bob the Goon should be in every Joker iteration.
He is that actor alive?
yeah, I think so.
Because if he's alive, he should be in like Better Call Saul and something. You know, like he should have been in Breaking Bad as something. Like
I think he was in a lot of Clint Eastwood movies too, wasn't he?
I don't
High
know.
Plains Drifter. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, how's it going, Mr. Vickers? Endgame seriously rips off Back to the Future Part 2.
No, they talk about Back to the Future too. Like it's a meta.
That-
It's not.
I think it's inspired by and acknowledging it.
They didn't go back to like 1980s MCU and like Trump Stark is taken out. Like I don't see it. Like just because it goes back in time. That's like saying I mean, while you're at it, Bill and Ted's rips up Doctor Who because they both got phone booths. Like I get it, but it's not the same thing.
Superman takes off his clothes and showed me his genitalia in a phone booth one time. That story has to exist, right?
That clip will run. That'll be used.
that should be the header for the episode.
That'll be on the back of Superman 78, the comic. You know, like Jason Ward, MakingStarWars.net.
He was here.
Whisper asks, is it possible that Anakin brought balance to the Force in Episode 3 by evening out the quantity of Jedi and Sith rather than having fulfilled the prophecy in 6?
No,
The fact that we're still asking these questions 20 years later is proof George did not
haven't
properly address this in the film.
Yeah.
And that they lazily did it in the sequel trilogy by saying, at one point Anakin brought Force, but now you got to do it, Rey. You know what I mean? Like they kind of like just like shoehorn that in.
Which sounds more like something you it sounds that line, by the way, sounds like something that you'd hear on the ride that you're
Yeah.
supposed to bring balance, like before a Star Wars ride where it's called Balance of the Force, and no, you've got to do it, and
For you
you
to
get
bring
all the kids come up with their swords, and let's bring balance to the Force. You know, like, all right, yeah.
You can do it, little Jesse.
It's the Jedi Training Academy, Disneyland.
Little Jesse is the Jedi spy who's going to bring balance. You can do it, Ray Jesse. Yeah. No, I mean, and no, it's definitely when I think when
As I
this,
drink my Star Tours mug.
when
Sorry, I don't mean to cut
I
you
mean,
off.
by the weird internal logic of the story that I think it kind of sets up, like it does feel like it should be when Anakin kills the Sith. That's when it happens, but in reality, it's when the Sith are moved away or moved out of play. So the way I'm interpreting the current version of it is when the Sith are hiding for that millennia, there is actually balance and it's fine. When the Sith emerge and are actually actively being cancerous to the body of the Republic itself, then there's an imbalance. When Anakin throws him down the hole and he's too fucked up to step in and do that stuff in a real way, balance is struck again. The galaxy's healthy. And then when Kylo Ren returns and Palpatine emerges via Snoke to make discontent in the galaxy, then we are back at an imbalance. I think
Yeah, Lucas isn't saying that like the way to have balance is to eliminate all evil from the Star Wars universe, because as we know, the Star Wars universe is a Mad Max hellhole with spaceships. It's super violent. There's nothing fun about it. The problem is when the Sith are running everything. You know, like when all the gangsters are actually running the galaxy, that's not good. Everything's out of balance. There's no chance for peace or harmony in any way, shape, or form. So that's
no
the
justice
whole.
either.
It's just us, son. You know, so
I have the quote on me because I have to keep it in my pocket like it's a Bible verse I need to read to keep off drugs or something.
You say it before you go to sleep every night.
Yeah. So from the VHS copy, from the VHS extras of A New Hope, which brings us to the first. This is George Lucas to the first. Which brings us up to the films 4, 5, and 6, in which Anakin's offspring redeem him and allow him to fulfill the prophecy where he brings balance to the Force by doing away with the Sith and getting rid of evil in the universe. So Lucas does say getting rid of evil in the universe, because at that time, the Sith don't return. It was by George Lucas's own idea that the Sith do return. So basically, yeah, when the Sith are pushed out into the periphery, you have balance. When the Sith are meddling, you have imbalance. And so, you know, he goes on to like compare it to the differences between light and dark sides as being like the difference between a symbiotic relationship and cancer at one point. And a lot of people do take problem with that, but I really do think that is, regardless of what it really washes out to, that is what George Lucas pretty much is getting at. And in his original themes of the Phantom Menace, which the guy can't keep a lot of shit straight when he's has all these different ways of doing things and all these different ways of saying this and that, it becomes more and more you're all indigestion. Anyways, yeah, it does become kind of hard to keep it straight. And so I think Lucas is sort of, I don't mean to be unreliable, but I think he'll say some things that kind of contradict itself. But when he makes sense of it all together, that's my takeaway.
It's more of my JJ thing. I change daily, you know, like sometimes, sometimes.
A little bit of this, a little bit
Depends
of
on the editions. Every time I release a new edition, I have a different theory on this. So.
Nolan's all, he stole my balloons.
Man, somebody told me he had one of those things.
Things.
Dude, I love Party Man. That Party Man song by Prince. Oh, fuck yeah.
If I were a pro wrestler, it would have been my theme song.
You would have been Party Man?
Rules and regulations, no place in this federation. The Party Man.
Strangely, a neoliberal moment for Prince. Anyways, all no regulation, and it's all about, and they're giving out money like it can't stop. Whisper,
and then he kills everyone. That's about right. That tracks.
Our question is only due to the return of the Sidious in episode 9 and Yoda's statement in episode 3 to Kenobi that they might have misread the prophecy. Yeah, I always felt like that misread moment was supposed to allude to the idea that, oh, shit's not going how we thought. Like, oh, maybe there's just one line in it where it's like, and then for 20 days there will be discontent, but it wasn't 20 days, it was 20 years. And like that's kind of like what Yoda's getting at. And then, but I also think it was a backdoor to, oh, maybe we misread the whole thing and we could reconfigure all of this if we ever want to do more.
Kind of retcon it.
Yeah, because Lucasfilm gets hard up for cash, which is kind of where they were at after the 2008 financial crisis. I mean,
we got
literally,
paid in Kurtzbucks, and the inflation wasn't factored in, and now we're worth nothing.
Yeah, without Kurtzbucks, no, without the 2008 financial crisis, you don't get the sequel trilogy. Really, you don't get Lucasfilm sold. Justin,
hey, Mr. Saibu on Twitter asks, "Hey Jason, will you ever go back to your YouTube exclusives? I really love just vibing with some Star Wars info in your backyard. LOL." So what he's saying is get rid of us.
Get rid of you guys.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I will never do it alone again. I get scared. No, I will.
Jason's in my backyard now.
What? This is all. We're in the backyard of his mind.
I gotta go to Rob and Jesse's backyards to do it though. What?
You got some great Wi-Fi back here.
I like to. It's like time is always the issue. Like it's so weird. I could sit here with you guys for 2 hours and talk the shit and give everything out that I got to talk about for the day or whatever. But if I go to make a YouTube video just by itself, it takes me like 2 hours just to make a video that's like 4 minutes sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. But it takes like a long time to make like set up and like do like just like a straight up video. But what I in a perfect world where I have all of the energy in the world and like no problems arise, I would love to make like videos where I cover just like the straight up news and my own scoops, and then get together with you guys and then we talk about it with everybody in like a roundtable discussion kind of thing, you know? Like that's what I would like to do, and that's kind of the plan. But like for instance, today I ended up talking with people for about 3 hours. I dropped my kids off at school.
That's the thing, Jason. Like they don't understand. Like, and I'm not defending me being here. You know, fire me if you need to, but I'll just have more free time. That's yay. So
you make it sound like I'm paying you.
Actually, I pay Jason to be here. I have a fucking membership, so you know my $5 gets me on this stupid. No, so but well, like, okay, so. One of the things people ask me, my own fans, they go, Rob, when are you going to stream? And I'm like, here's the thing. I might be on the phone drawing with a client for literally sometimes 3 hours, like in back and forth meetings with different people. And so by then I don't have any energy to talk to fans, and no offense to them, but it would also be worse if you had low energy or if you were annoyed. And then you got onto a stream and you're like, and you had to explain to people, oh, woe is me. I was on the phone for 3 hours with scoopers. But it's like, yeah, like it takes a tremendous amount of time. I mean, Stern does a 4-hour show and he has to nap afterward, right? Yeah. Like you could do 4 hours before the show of nonstop hustling just to get going. Yeah. And that's, and then you have to bring up the energy. You have to like do like jumping jacks or Rick McCollum Coke or
only the finest.
No, it sucks because I could like pretty much listen to music and or podcasts like constantly all day long. And I hit a point though every now and then I get in the car and I'm like before we started today, I went and grabbed lunch real quick. And I didn't put anything on, and I was like, "Oh no, I hope I'm not fucking burned out." You know what I mean? I was like, but luckily,
because I brought it up to you, I was like, "Yeah, I like it when you do like the 4-minute, 5-minute, or even like 10-minute like news things where you give your info because I like listening to you and your takes." But then when we all talk about it, that's the fun time because you get the chat people in, and if you can't talk about something, one of us can be stupid, and that deflects. Because that was like, I think I commented, it was when you did some scoop months ago and you were doing it live and people were asking you things that you're like, I can't go there, you know? And you started wondering live, like, what can I say or can't say that will like, you know, get a scoop or source in trouble or something. And then that's when you were like, I don't know if doing these lives is the best thing right now. And I was like, I never thought about that. Like because when you're live, you can go on tangents, especially when you're by yourself. You may say things. What did I say? You know, like
and we used to just like do the pod, and I would try to be guarded. But if I said one extra line, I could be like, Randy, make sure you cut that, and then check it before we put it out and make sure he did, and then be like, okay, it's good. But on this, no takebacks. Turns out.
Yeah, it's haunting my career forever.
No. Oh
It's
no.
doing so much for me.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, we heard your Morty voice, or Filoni's like, so I heard you have something to say. I was like,
Rob, we saw that cultural appropriation of Taco Bell. That is white. That is white people's tacos, and you're taking it from them.
I'm naming a food without naming where I grew up. I'm showing a food without. You don't see that meme going around.
Pizza.
We had a lot of taco talk today. We went down some
Book of Boba tacos. Like I'm not being racist. The man fucking has an amazing taco truck.
Yeah,
like I gotta tell you, I stopped going to Comic-Con as a fan in 2001 when Robert Rodriguez showed up with those taco trucks, because I had spent forever with the Eldorado Road to Eldorado. Fucking I'm brain farting, dude. The fucking El Mariachi films.
Okay.
Desperado, right? Thank you.
Desperado, yeah.
El Mariachi and Desperado. When he put out those DVDs and he has like cooking fucking tips on there and how to like cook, I was like, this guy knows his shit, because I'm a foodie. I went down there, waited for an hour to get those tacos, and they are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like seriously, whoever, that's the one thing I'm like, if Robert Rodriguez ever had a cookout and I had to spend money to go, I would go. You know?
Well,
like,
are they similar to the Trejo's tacos?
Danny Trejo's a nice guy, by the way.
No,
I met him
I've
once.
been to his taco shop down there a few times.
Well,
I love it.
He has his own license. He does his own licensing.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was at Mad Engine, I want to say 2011, 2012-ish, they got the Danny Trejo license and he came in. And he was just like super cool and like down for any.
So I can't make a card that says Danny Trejo ho ho for Christmas and sell it myself.
He would have been cool. Well, he would have been cool with Grumpy, in the Santa hat. Trejo ho ho. Damn it, Jason.
Do it, Danny. Come on.
I'm telling you, that would have played well at Hot Topic or Walmart. Like, I'm just letting you know.
Let's do it, Danny. Danny, I need some Danny bucks. But yeah, but that's how that's how Robert Rodriguez got Kathleen Kennedy to give him Star Wars. Not because he was the best person for it, because of tacos.
And he knows how to keep a budget down.
No.
You don't have to worry about it. I'm Hispanic, so we can talk about tacos all we want.
No, he's definitely beyond the best person for it. I was just mocking YouTubers. I know every day when I think about Book of Boba, when it comes up, I'm always like, fuck, man, Robert Rodriguez Boba Fett. Like, that sounds like so fan casty in such a good way. I can't believe it's fucking happening.
If we had said it in 2003, 2005, you wouldn't have believed it in a way. You know what I mean? Like, you would have been like, nah, I mean, El Desperado, El Mariachi, Desperado.
Nobody wanted to believe Star Wars Underworld was real at one point.
And then they saw it, and they're glad it never got made. Sorry, it looks like an ABC TV show. It does not.
well, that was a visual effects video doing the test. I think it would have.
I know.
ILM would have stepped it up. I think George Lucas would have made it cost way too much, and it would have been ridiculous. It would have probably bankrupted Lucasfilm if.
But it would have had those commercial breaks too. You understand what I mean? Like, it's not just the era. Look, right now, even with the volume, it can look a little stagey.
Oh, for sure.
Which I'm fine with, because in a way, A New Hope looks a little stagey in a lot of spots. I mean, obviously not in Tunisia.
Dagobah looks stagey.
Yeah, right. Dagobah doesn't look like a real planet. It looks like a stage. It's a great wet stage, but it's a stage. Except on the Addy One edition.
I love a wet stage.
Yeah, I like it too.
Wet fur.
Yeah, we're back to that. What were they saying? But Underworld would have looked very stagey. There would have been some moments where it broke out, but I have a feeling it would have been a lot of digital actors. So it would have been like early CGI. It wasn't going to look like Lost, but on Coruscant. Or
it looked like Charmed.
Hey.
No, it would have. I think it would have mostly looked like Deadwood to be in Rome. To be honest with you, that's what it was based off of.
Rome.
And that's what they were-
I think Rome.
Yeah,
that's,
Rome, okay,
that's
yeah.
what they were aiming for. But
Yeah.
we got to end today's show because it is time for my children to get picked up from school. I do love you guys, and I could stay here with you and leave them and just start a new family. I have the reproductive potential, but I've gotten kind of far into this one. And,
Mr. Saibu's like, no, get rid of him. No, I love you. Yeah.
and I don't want to be like the mother I spoke of today. And Bootsy, we got more stories coming, more childhood 80s stories, Bootsy. Don't worry. If Rick McCollum was her dealer, I would probably be his son. So no. Anyways, yeah, but thanks to everyone who supports the show. I'm having a problem getting the audio right now onto Patreon because of the old service that fucked up royally. And I'm trying to work out a way to make that happen still.
I can help you with that.
Okay, so apologies
Hit me
to
up
anyone
later tonight.
Okay. And yeah, and so they will be coming up because they are the episodes are archived. I just need to find a solid solution and workflow to make it happen better. And so I will be making that happen. And you can become a channel member to support the show, and you can become a Patreon supporter if you don't want to give your money to Google, and you also want to have audio versions. So, that right now is broken, but I'm going to fix it. So that's the Jason Ward promise. And what do we got? Cliff Burton right here. Oh, we got the Back to the Future game.
No, it's a Back to the Future Transformers comic.
Oh shit, that's pretty fun.
Oh, I got that DeLorean toy pre-ordered, by the way. There's a DeLorean Transformers. Yeah.
Just like the Ghostbuster one too, because they did Ghostbusters and Transformers, and I bought the Ecto One Transformer for my
I'm a nerd.
Yeah, you are.
Like this.
Bye, nerds.
Bye, nerds.
Emperor's
It's not about spaceships.
Making Star Wars Show.